Hello everyone, my name is Callie Naylor. I am a graduate student at Arizona State University and I am majoring in sociology. This presentation is for my final class, Capstone III. From Dreams to Diplomas discusses the steps and struggles of first-generation college students and what we can do to help. There are many definitions of what people would consider first-generation college students. For this presentation, we use the students who have parents that did not graduate from college, whether that be a 2-year community college or a 4-year college or university. The income of these students is important and will be discussed at a later point, but most of them are in the low-income socioeconomic range. Studies show that most of the first-generation college students have an element of ethnic and racial diversity, and that impacts their success as a college student. Many of these students come from working-class, blue-collar families, and this is understandable since their parents had not earned a college degree. The parental education level of the student has a large impact on whether the student made the choice to attend college, and it made a large impact on whether a student made the choice to attend college right after graduating high school. Those students who have parents that graduated with at least a bachelor's degree were very likely to go straight to college after high school, that number being 82% of students. If we take a look at those students who had parents that graduated from high school but did not graduate from college, we see that 54% of them enrolled in college after graduation. Of those students who had parents that did not graduate high school, 36% of those students enrolled in college right after finishing high school. So you can see that there's a big difference between those students who had parents that graduated with at least a bachelor's degree and those whose parents didn't even graduate high school. Along with parental education, family income played a huge role in whether a student attended college. With the cost of college going up, the lack of parental experience with college processes, and the family's socioeconomic status made a large impact on whether a student attended college. Of those students who were from families that would be considered high-income families, which is defined as those whose families made $86,800 or more a year, 84% of them enrolled directly into college. Compared to those of middle-income families, which is defined as families who make between $18,100 and $86,700 per year. 67% of those students enrolled in college directly out of high school. For those students in low-income families, which is defined as income of $18,000 a year and below, 55% of those students enrolled directly in college after graduating high school. So you can see there is a difference between the high income and the low income percentages, but it's not nearly the difference that parental education is. The advantage that many students who had parents that went to and graduated from college have is that their parents are familiar with the processes of going to college. I work as an academic advisor at a local community college, so this is something I see on a regular basis. Our college is pretty lax in regards to accepting students and having a fairly easy enrollment process, but many still are unaware of the processes. I have students who come in and see me or another advisor and say they would like to sign up for classes. I go through many questions to get a sense of what the student has accomplished regarding to the acceptance and enrollment process. There are many students who did not know they needed to apply to come to college, and that unlike their public high school, it's not free to attend college. During the first meetings I have with students, we have them fill out an application and fill out the FAFSA before we can even get into the classes that they're able to get into. This is difficult when students come in a week before classes start and none of the steps of enrollment are completed. The language used at a college is different than that used of high schools, so many students, first generation or not, have trouble catching on. I try to explain everything from the role of financial aid and the FAFSA to what college placement tests are and how picking out classes work since they normally aren't going from an 8 to 3 schedule anymore compared to high school, and the fact that minimal to no supplies will be provided for them. So the books and other materials can be purchased from the bookstore or other retailers, but they're not given to you. Compared to non-first generation college students, first generation college students were less likely to take college preparation classes. Besides the academic content that is in college preparation classes, the students missed out on the higher expectation levels that would prepare them for the academic rigor of a college education. First generation college students were likely to have lower math, lower reading, and lower critical thinking scores, along with lower entrance exam scores, if they even took entrance exams, than those students who had parents that previously graduated from college. Many of the students who come from my community college have not taken the ACT or the SAT, and they are required to take our placement exam so we can see what classes they need. For those who do not meet the appropriate scores to go directly into our English or math classes, we have developmental classes to help them enhance their skills. Unfortunately, many students do not wish to pay for a class that doesn't go towards their degree requirements. Since we are an open enrollment college, the student may elect to go into those classes even if they are advised against it. Just as getting into college and being successful is difficult, it's also difficult to maintain and progress those students to their second year of college. This puts our first generation students at higher risk of not graduating. In addition, they are more than twice as likely to leave college before their second year compared to students who have parents with a bachelor's degree. Studies show that those first generation students who leave college are less likely to return to school. According to an article in the Journal of College Student Development, only 76.5% of first generation college students progress to their second year of college. Race, ethnicity, sex, academic performance, and income levels all played a large role in whether a first generation student would successfully get through their first year and move on to their second year of college. A student who identifies as white is 34.5% more likely to advance to their second year of college than a student who identifies themselves as Hispanic. Males were also more likely to advance than their female counterparts by 9.4%. Family income impacted the student progressing to their second year as well. For every $10,000 increase to a person's family income, they were 2% more likely to stay in school. This means that if a student family income is $30,000, that increases their chances of moving on to the second year by 6%. As a student's academic performance increased, so did their likelihood of advancing to their second year. For every 1 unit increase of a student's GPA, they are 12.8% more likely to progress to their second year of college. Another issue that many first-generation college students deal with is the struggle between being a successful student and working while they're in school. Many students who are first-generation students are considered low income, so they work to help pay for school and living expenses. 56% of low-income students work 16 hours or more a week, compared to 37% of higher-income students. Those students who work have less time to dedicate to their education, and studies show that half of low-income students spend 10 hours or less studying. This, combined with lower academic skills, has a major impact on the education of those students. Being a college student and having academic success has as much to do with the social aspect as the academic aspect of class. First-generation college students are less likely than their non-first generation counterparts to interact with the faculty or to participate in class due to the large class sizes. The balance of understanding the expectations of an instructor and the class material are both needed to be successful in a class. When many instructors hand out the syllabus, they have an expectation that the student will know what is expected of them, but many first-generation students lack the baseline information to help make the syllabus understandable. One researcher quoted a student who they had interviewed in regards to the syllabus that instructors handed out. Here you are, handed a sometimes 2-3 page thing, and it's got all this information on it, and at times they just hand it to a bunch of students on the assumption that they know what it is. This is not an uncommon feeling among first-generation students, because many wanted more information, such as the expectations of taking notes, and writing styles such as MLA, APA, etc. Many syllabi contain office hours, but it was unclear to many students the type of questions they were able to come to their instructor about, and the presentation of the faculty member in class had an impact on whether the student felt that they were considered friendly and would be able to approach them with any questions or problems. Many colleges have special areas that are focused on the involvement and advancement of first-generation college students. Unfortunately, the only one available at the community college that I work at is the TRIO program, the Student Support Services section. TRIO SSS is a wonderful federally funded grant that helps students who are low income, disabled, and or first-generation college students to be successful in college. They provide student assistance with a variety of services such as financial aid assistance. They help them with the FAFSA with the financial aid assistance, scholarship searches, academic tutoring, advising in post-secondary education, and much more. TRIO SSS also requires their students to have cultural experiences such as plays, concerts, and similar things throughout the semester. Unfortunately, not every student who is a first-generation student is eligible for TRIO SSS based on income. To be accepted into TRIO SSS, a student has to fill out an application and meet with one of their student support workers. They have to provide documentation of their income status and their documented disability if they have one. TRIO SSS, like any grant-funded program, is only able to accept a certain number of students per year, and they have to meet the outcomes of the program. Like many college services, students aren't aware of TRIO until they get through the struggle of enrolling in college. Many students need help from the beginning to help with navigating those very first steps of college. So, I have an example of a story. I personally am not a first-generation college student. My mother was. But a man that I've become very close with, he is a first-generation college student, or was. And I talked to him, and he shared his story with me that fit perfectly with what I was talking to you guys about. So his name is Luis. Luis is a man that I met through a volunteer mentoring program that I'm a part of. Luis was a first-generation college student a few years ago, and he was telling me about the experiences and struggles he went through to finish school. Luis was originally born in Mexico and moved to the United States when he was in 8th grade, so his first language was Spanish, but he had learned quite a bit of English. He talked about how he had been a great student until he reached his sophomore year of high school. He had gotten a girlfriend, and she became his main focus, like happens with many of our high school students. He maintained his sophomore year with relatively good grades, but they dropped significantly during his junior year, resulting in many D's and a few F's. By his senior year, Luis was convinced that he wouldn't be able to finish school, so he went to drop out, but they convinced him to stay in school, and they moved him to the alternative school. Luis focused on meeting the requirements for his high school diploma, so he didn't venture out and take classes that would be considered college preparation classes or any college credit classes that were available to him. When he graduated, he knew that he wanted to become a police officer, but didn't think that he was able to go to college since his grades were so low. A community member that he knew talked him into going to the local community college and enrolling. Luis knew nothing of the requirements, but he visited the campus to start his journey to college anyway. Luis visited the college and was told that he would need to apply for the school and take the placement test before he was able to do anything else. After applying at the college and taking the placement test, he went to speak with an advisor about getting signed up for classes. He had only been a few points short of passing the placement test, but he was signed up for the developmental classes. The advisor also talked with him about filling out the FAFSA to qualify for financial aid. He hadn't known that he had to fill out the FAFSA, and he told me that it was pretty upsetting that he hadn't been given this information when he first met with the advisor because he felt like it delayed his progress. After talking to a friend, Luis also learned that he was able to take the placement test again since he had been so close to meeting those scores. He was bothered by this because he had not been informed that this was an option. Luis retook the college placement test and scored slightly higher than before, but still just missed those cut scores. When he met with the advisor, he was told that he could speak with the police science faculty if he felt he would be able to be successful in the classes, even though he had not met the scores to get into the program. After conversing with the police science faculty, he was allowed to be in the program. Luis has since graduated from the police science program and moved on to get his bachelor's degree. Luis was unaware of all the steps he needed to complete, which caused him to take multiple trips to the college before he was even able to get enrolled in classes. He said that after talking to his friends who were in a similar situation, that wasn't an uncommon situation. It wasn't uncommon to feel like he wasn't getting all the information he needed up front. I found this picture and I thought it was a pretty accurate description of what Luis went through. And sometimes Luis didn't know that there was another hoop until he jumped through one of the first ones. Based on the evidence and hearing stories such as Luis's, there needs to be more focus placed on the acceptance and inclusion of first-generation students. The most cost-effective way for this to be done is through the use of those staff who are already at the colleges. Recruitment and enrollment services are the first points of contact for most students who are looking to enter the college, and it is very important for first-generation students to get in touch with them. Recruitment's relationship with local high schools can serve as a resource for them to have contact with the first-generation college students who are interested in going on to college. This ensures that the students have a person that they can come to with questions regarding the process since their parents do not have the experience and they haven't gone through the processes themselves. Recruitment should also have a step-by-step guide of how to get into college, such as a checklist. This will give all students a baseline of what needs to be accomplished before seeing their advisor for the first time so they feel like they're prepared. Advisors and financial aid are the main components that make up our enrollment services office. Since advisors are usually the first point of contact after a student speaks with recruiting and decides to come to the college, this would be a point where students could get a majority of their information. Overall, first-generation college students receive less support from their family compared to non-first-generation students, so an advisor could help pick up the lack of support. Advisors can be trained in intrusive advising, which can be used to develop a relationship with the student and encourage them to reach out to the advisor for guidance on navigating the system. By having the advisor as a support for the students have someone who is very familiar with the college processes and able to communicate those resources to them. With this relationship, advisors can provide personalized attention by suggesting things to the student based on the student's life situation, such as advising a student to take fewer classes if they're working more hours, so that they are set up for the best possible situation for them to be successful in college. Many students struggle with the expectations of faculty, so there are a few things that can be done to make it more informative for the first-generation student. Many colleges, including mine, have a first-year seminar class to help students get acclimated to the college environment but the needs of first generation students are different than the needs of those students who had parents who attended and graduated college. Placing students who are first generation college students into a class together would allow you to teach to the specific needs of that group. More focus could be spent on the expectations of college, such as note taking, professional communication, and how to study, which were concerns to first generation college students. With all students being of the same preparedness for college, the classroom environment would be much more friendly and open so that students would be able to ask questions that may seem trivial to those who are already informed about college. With students showing concern for the lack of information in the syllabus, it would seem to be a simple solution to add more of the information that they need. With different instructors requiring different things from their students, the clear class expectations would allow the student to know exactly how to approach the class and be the most successful in it. The syllabus would be best if it was printed on colored paper or paper that stands out to the student so that they are able to keep track of it, to reference it on a regular basis. The addition of information would be useful to all students, not just the first generation students. And if any student feels that the information is too much, they can always skim past it, which is much less detrimental than a student not knowing what the expectations are at all. Overall, the adjustments made to help a first generation student would only bring more information and success to the students who read it.